building cities, roads. The traditional owners that we call elders knew this land was home. So we pay respect, acknowledge them. Without them we wouldn't see our culture shared through song and dance, our art, our history. Bujong Jara Kanjio, Bujong Jara Wanji Wanji, Bujong Jara Wanji Wanji. This is a song that I co-wrote to pay respect to the ancestors, the elders, and the traditional owners of the land that we meet on. The local tribes of Mianjin, which today is known as Brisbane, are the Turrbal, Yagara, Mulunjali, Yugambeh, Jinnabara, and Quandamooka people. My mob is from North Queensland, a small town called Bowen. If you don't know Bowen, that's where those beautiful Bowen mangoes come from, on Birrigubba country. On my father's side, I have South Sea Island heritage, the island of Tanna in Vanuatu. On my mother's side, I have Scottish ancestry, and I also have connections to the Coolgambara people off the coast of Mackay and the Quandamooka people here in Brisbane, which basically just means I get confused from, as if I'm like coming from New Zealand or something. Everyone's like, it means that I have to mix my own shades of foundation together like a painter to try and find the right colour. But I'll live. I love my parents, thank you. It also means that wherever I travel, I acknowledge the traditional owners. I thank them for keeping this country as beautiful as it is, because today we call it home. I thank them for connecting us to our songlines and to our stories. They're the walking encyclopedias, our elders of these communities, and they hold all of that knowledge. So I thank them everywhere I go. In this song, I sing language from the island of Minjerribah. Minjerribah is known today as North Stradbroke Island, and the language of the Quandamooka people is Jundai. And the words that I sing are Bujong Jara Kanjil, Bujong Jara Wanji Wanji, which means Mother Earth, she sings and dances, Mother Earth is alive. And Mother Earth plays a really integral role in a lot of First Nations cultures all across the world. I'd like to extend my acknowledgement to any First Nations people who might be watching tonight. We have thrived, we have survived, we come in all different colours, shapes and sizes, and with different voices, and I hope tonight all the good spirits are with you. 60,000 years ago, before building cities, roads, the traditional owners that we call elders knew this land was home. So we pay respect, acknowledge them. Without them we wouldn't see our culture shared through song and dance, our art, our history. Bujong Jara Kanjio, Bujong Jara Wanji Wanji, Bujong Jara Wanji Wanji.
Thank you to the beautiful Waveney. Welcome everyone, welcome to our online audience. I see a few familiar faces, and welcome back everyone outside of 2019 and 2020. We are so lucky to be able to celebrate today and bring together so many people who in the community here, also in Brisbane, but also online. We do have quite a large online audience, and we're pretty lucky that we get to do this in Brisbane, because there are so many places that have struggled to do this across the globe. Over the last 2 years, we have not had the chance to celebrate RiverPitch. 2019 was the last time we were able to get together. Over the course of the last 2 years, we have seen pivots, perseverance, we've seen growth, we've seen a lot of people fall down, and that's just across the globe. For technology startups, entrepreneurs, founders, leaders, whatever you like to call them, they have demonstrated that on a daily basis. Building technology is not easy. We are so lucky at River City Labs and Startup Catalyst to be able to witness and have frontline seats to see the amazing talent, the ingenuity, and the actual courage to continue to build their company, especially through such challenging moments like we are having right now globally. And what's more even better is that we have a community like you who are here today, as well as our online audience, to come together and support these companies. Not only support them through joining and watching them actually showcase their business, but actually also supporting them financially through capital, which is needed for technology companies. So tonight we have 10 amazing companies who are going to showcase what they've been working on and where they are going next. And I encourage you post the session to ensure that you try and connect with them, as many as possible. And if you yourself can't assist, of course, refer your networks to them, because that is the most amazing thing we can do as also community members. River City Labs has been around for quite some time. We are lucky to have the founder with us tonight. Hello, Steve. I always have to do a shout out. It was founded in 2012 and has actually been the agitator and the stable baseline in the community to kick off the technology startups here. Supported by 1013 as well as Steve's own office, it has grown, and then many community members here and also our coaches like Peter Laurie, who has been along the whole journey and every RiverPitch that has actually happened to date. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to Cake Equity also, who's been coaching alongside, and our alumni Jason Atkins, who last pitched here when I actually got to see my first RiverPitch live and stand here 2 years ago. It's been an amazing journey, and I just thank everyone for coming, and also the online audience. So a little bit of housekeeping. Tonight's social tag for online, very important. Please tag us, RiverPitch 2021. Also, can I remind those of you who are investors online and in the audience, you would have received some details on how to access the questions channel, specifically for our online audience. We will be asking you questions during the Q&A. Tonight, the founders will have the opportunity to pitch for 5 minutes, and then we will actually open up for a Q&A for 5 minutes. The goal is to be able to connect them with investors. So we'll be going around and asking Q&A during that time, as well as taking some online questions. Next, I would like to thank our amazing sponsors. So we have had the privilege of having BDO as our major sponsor, who I will introduce someone from BDO very soon, and most of you most likely will know him. He kind of sticks out. And the wonderful ShareSource. So Brendan is also in the room. Thank you so much, not only for you bringing talent, technology talent, and amazing geniuses from offshore to actually help companies here locally and look after their people, but also for the work that you're doing in our community to help founders. And then last but not least, I don't know where they are in the room, but AWS. You guys have absolutely been amazing for River City Labs, Startup Catalyst, and the broader Queensland community, and also nationally. You've brought investors to our doors. You've brought VCs from down south, if anyone recollects, that we actually had an amazing lineup of VCs and panels for a whole day in June. And not only that, it's your direct support and technology support that you give founders on their journey, as well as the amazing credits. We will never complain about those. So, lastly, I will leave you. We are going to have the pictures very soon, but I would love to introduce the amazing Mark Orchard from BDO. Thank you, Mark.
Hello everybody, my name is Mark Orchard, I'm the Director of Startups at BDO, and welcome to RiverPitch. Big round of applause to the RiverPitch team for being able to get this all up and running this year. Now, RiverPitch to me is three things. One is a set of awesome pitches. Two, it's Peter Laurie in the corner really worrying about all said pitches. And it's Steve Baxter asking really tough questions that the startups weren't expecting. But I think the thing that I love most about RiverPitch is that the thing that's interesting about Queensland companies in particular is there's this interesting mix of aspiration and pragmatism, or the goal to take over the world, but to do it in a Queensland way. And so for us here, we're very lucky at BDO to have worked with over 300 early stage high growth companies over the last 12 months. And the BDO for Startups program in particular is specifically for high growth companies who want to scale, who want to raise capital, who want to be globally relevant, and who want to be almost as good looking as Jason from Cake. But unfortunately, I can't promise that. So Jason, bless you, my friend. Just quick in regards to tonight, so tonight's not about BDO, it's about the founders, but I just want to quickly do it around the grounds quickly. Just quick, who is an investor in the room? Who's an investor? An active investor putting money into startups right now. I hope you're all looking at the moment, team. Yep, excellent. Who's a startup founder? Who's somebody who is actively running a high growth company? Who is a supporter of a startup? So ecosystem supporter, personal friend or family, or just cheering on a founder tonight? Excellent. So I have one request for you all, and that is for you all, I want you to write a check tonight. Now, I don't know for you whether or not that's a monetary check, whether that's a time check, whether that's a network check, but I want you to do something for at least one of the founders tonight who actually takes your interest. Because as somebody who has worked with and has been a startup founder, the thing that gets you through is when somebody helps you without you even knowing why. And from my point of view tonight, if you've got money to write, I'd love for you to write a check that's actually financial. But if you don't have money, still help. Because that's what the point of RiverPitch is being able to accelerate these companies to be as successful as possible. Just quick, in regards to BDO, so if you do have any questions, happy. I'm 6'5", I'm wearing high tops, and I'm the only idiot that was decided to wear a collared shirt tonight, so certainly you'll be able to find me pretty quickly. But also my friends Tim and Nikki are here on the side as well, so if you have any questions, come and have a chat. But realistically, we'll be where the startups are cheering them on and supporting them as much as we can. Now, without further ado, I have the pleasure of quickly introducing the first pitcher, but they said keep it punchy and keep it sweet and short, Mark. So I will, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for the very first pitcher tonight, Lucas from Tribune.
G'day, Lucas Murkoff here, CEO and co-founder of Tribune, and we are automating IT support using artificial intelligence. So meet Lauren. She's from a construction company called Future Fit Outs. She has an urgent deadline to get done. The thing is, her computer is running super slow and she really wants to win that contract. The thing about slow computers, it causes major frustration. No doubt you've all experienced this. So what does she do? She quickly jumps on the phone and calls her local IT support for assistance. Then jumps in Ben. He's from Crofty IT support. He's received Lauren's request, but the thing is, he's already got 10 other people screaming down his neck at the exact same time. But he's a typical tech guy, he just wants to help and solve problems. The first thing that Ben needs to do, he needs to understand actually what Lauren's problem is and translate into the actual system before he can start the job. Now the thing about techs, they really don't like doing repetitive tasks like solving slow computers. They want to get on and do more complex tasks. And one thing you might not know about the IT support industry, it's all about paperwork, timesheets, adding notes, replying to customers. Techs hate this stuff. You might also think that techs are amazing at customer service. Yeah, maybe not. They're socially awkward creatures. They just want to sit behind in a dark room and do the job. Now, there are millions of Laurens out there, including you guys, that just want to get on with your day and not have a tech issue. And there are also millions of people like Ben who want to solve more complex issues, not be stuck in the weeds. So introducing our platform, Tribune. We're an artificial intelligence tool that integrates into existing systems that allow techs and customers to be completely automated. So take Lauren's slow computer request and combine that with the other most common IT issues that happen on a daily basis. This actually makes up 70% of the entire IT help desk workload. So our platform is quite unique. We integrate into existing systems, allowing for easy adoption for IT help desks, and this passes through to having a better customer support service for the client. So this is what happens behind the scenes. We're looking at Lauren's slow computer request, right? So what's happening is we've understood that her computer's been on for over 13 days. She has a laptop, she likes to close the lid at the end of the day. We all do it. But what's unique about our machine learning is that we've taken that information, we've processed it through our system, and then we've started the process to automate the next steps. This removes the mundane task for Ben to actually do the job. Is it working? Yeah, good. The next step from a tech perspective is IT engineers, they love to cherry pick, they love to find out what the customers they're working with or the jobs they really want to solve. Our platform takes this repetitive task away from them and actually helps them prioritize their day. So this is better, greater customer service for the customer and amazing customer service for the client. So we are a B2B SaaS platform The target market is IT service providers, mid-market and enterprise. Anyone that has a device in your organization, you require IT support, whether it's internal or external, that's who we're targeting. So our competitive edge is all around the AI that we've built. We're really unique on the fact that we can go into an IT help desk and build a custom AI model for their business. Now, we launched our platform and we've been increasing our pricing every single month based on the automation that we're building. Most clients are paying $2.99 at the moment, and as we continue to build out the automation, this will go up to around $2,000 a month per IT help desk. We launched in February last year, just as COVID hit. We have $4,500 in recurring revenue, and we've actually processed 300,000 tickets, and this is how we've built out our AI. So as it is today, we're already saving an hour per day per tech, which is $4,500 a month per help desk. It's an absolute no-brainer for these guys. So meet Brian. He's one of our customers in California. He's saying it's been transformative for his business. It's made the lives of his level 1 engineers a lot easier, and it's providing amazing customer service. So we have just over 60 customers in 10 different countries, but the really cool thing is we're already translating in multiple languages, Germany, Dutch, and we're going across the entire European region, so completely scalable. We're backed by amazing investors, and they actually really believe in our vision that we can transform the entire IT industry forever. They believe it so much that they believe it will be the next Aussie unicorn, and this is how we're going to achieve our $100 million goal over the next 5 years. So we bootstrapped for the first 2 years, then we raised our pre-seed at the beginning of this year, and now we're actively raising our seed fund of $2 million. This will help us automate all level 1 IT support and get us to our first key milestone of 1 mil in ARR. The amazing part about our team is that we've all been in the IT support industry for over 17 years, and we're actually solving our own problem. Lucas Middlecroft, CEO and co-founder of Tribute, and I'm about to amazingly enjoy your questions, but right now, can you please pull out your phone, scan the QR code, and you'll receive our investor pitch deck. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? We do have a roaming mic.
What valuation?
12 mil USD. Come on, Steve, I know you want to.
I don't know what to do. Is there actual AI?
Actual AI, yeah.
Is there actual AI, or is it just like a buzzword you've used to sort of get up on stage?
Thank you for the great question. So one of the key reasons for being able to draw some amazing investors, especially in the US, is not just having a buzzword. It's a key common question every investor asks. No, it's true AI. So right now we're doing continuous learning, which means as a ticket comes through into the platform, the IT support system, we're taking that information, it's automatically learning on the spot and then processing to the next step. So the 300,000 tickets that we processed, okay, up till now it's taken a while to build that, but now it's continuous learning, so we can scale.
And I didn't get your revenue model, so you had like $299, then $2,400. So is that per person, per month, per year? What is? I didn't get that.
Yeah, so it's our current business model is per tech inside the help desk. On average, in an IT support help desk is around 10 before the enterprise.
Per tech per what?
So it's $69 per tech per month is how we charge for the full automation, but we have 3 tiers.
We've got one around there, Zoe, in the middle.
Hi, it's an interesting model. Do you interface with the standard help desk tools, Jira, ServiceNow and similar, and peel off the top layer of those, the level 1 type problems? Is that how it's working?
That's currently our go-to-market strategy, is to integrate into these existing systems rather than trying to reinvent the wheel and come up with a whole new system. So ConnectWise, Autotask, ServiceNow, Jira, all the major platforms in the world, we integrate into those platforms, so it's easy adoption for the IT department, whether it's external or internal, and for them to actually adapt our platform, it's literally a no-brainer because there's no transition process. Our AI starts running behind the scenes and understands their data straight away.
Hey Lucas, great job mate.
Thanks, bro.
Love that growth. What about your customer acquisition strategy? How are you acquiring your customers and how scalable is that as well?
Yeah, currently it's through these IT systems, so they've got massive big communities all around the world. So we're currently scaling through that model. So for example, COVID's been a bit of, the fun one. Conferences, so we just had a conference in the US. Unfortunately, we couldn't get there. We were able to get our UK salesperson over there. And we got hundreds of leads from being at that one conference. That's from that side of things. We're actually now targeting enterprise clients and the entire enterprise sales model. But it's through these existing partnerships that we already have globally that's giving us leads on a daily basis.
Lucas,
Emma?
we have a question from the audience online. How do you ensure your system is secure and not compromised like Solarwinds? To be fair, I really hope it's not like Solarwinds, but how do you keep the platform secure?
Yeah, well, because we are already in Europe, we've had to follow the entire GDPR guidelines. The great thing about our platform is we're not storing any data. We're processing data and putting it straight back into their system. Nothing is stored in our platform. So from a security perspective, we're already eliminating that straight off the bat.
What is your difference with Zapier? Did I pronounce that right? What's your difference?
Yeah, so I guess from an integration perspective, so Zapier, which is like an off-the-shelf integration tool you can use, we're completely native in from integration. So our platform integrates directly in the IT system, and that data is pulled and pushed, but it's the AI that's behind the scenes that processes all that information. So it's not just about, I guess, pulling and pushing data and having a workflow. It's about what do we do with the smarts behind it to actually, solve the problem.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lucas. Round of applause, please, for Lucas.
Thank you.
And next up, we have Paul McCarthy from Secure Stack.
The average American uses their phone over 3 hours a day to interact with applications. Our society is bound by software, right? This software industry is worth a huge portion of our global economy. It's worth $1 trillion to the US economy every year alone. There are 28 million software engineers in this world, and as we know, we have a gap and we have to hire more. Now the problem is, as a society, do we say, hey, is this software secure? No, we just assume that software engineers build secure software, right? I mean, honestly, that's the truth. Well, the reality is a lot of that software they're building is insecure, right? And because I've been in the game so long, 30 years this year I've been building software, I realized the problem is how we incentivize software engineers, right? Our metric of success for software engineers is how quickly you can deploy software and new features. It is not how private or secure that software is, right? And that's the problem right there. So imagine if as a society we said, hey, listen, we're going to incentivize bus drivers the same way that we incentivize software engineers. If we were to say to the bus drivers, hey, the most important thing for you to be successful at your job is to get from the beginning of your route to the end of your route as quickly as possible. I feel like that's probably not going to work for society, right? But the problem is for software engineers, that's exactly what we do. We prioritize features and speed over everything else. Software engineers admit when they're under time constraints to skipping existing security steps 70% of the time. That's your software, my data. And that's a problem. So SecureStack has built a platform to address that. In my 30 years in working with software teams, basically what I've done is I've identified the places in their existing workflows that we can inject security. In the software developer's laptop and where they build a software, and then in the public cloud. Shout out to AWS, by the way. In the public cloud, like AWS, right? So this is what our platform does. We basically have built integrations into the software the software code repositories. We built integrations into the cloud providers, and then we ingest data about the application itself as customers use that application. And that allows us to customize. We understand the application from the inside out. It's like that exploding car diagram that we all saw when we were kids. You imagine that? It's like you can go inside of that and you can understand the application. That gives us a very intimate view of the application and allows us to make very customized and targeted suggestions for the customer. And even better, we can build automation that allows them to fix those problems. So how do we sell this, right? Steve, the way we sell this is a consumption-based model, straight up. $500 a month gets you 500 analyses of your application. $2,000 a month gets you 2,000 analyses of your application. So we built our product, and we had a very fugly version of it that we introduced to a few customers in August of this year. And since then, we've deployed our production release in October, late October. Our MRR has increased by 12 times. And the most important thing is, and this is really important to stress, is that when a customer starts using our product and they're using the web portal, they hit us once or twice a day, right? But when they introduce us into their automation, guess what? Their use increases dramatically. 20x is the average, but we've seen one customer in particular went from 1 or 2 times a day to 80 times a day hitting our platform. So how are we going to go to market? Well, first and foremost, we're going to go direct, but more importantly, we're going to hit channels, right? And those channels are GitHub and Bitbucket. We're targeting scale-ups, software engineers at those scale-ups. How are we going to find those engineers? We're going to go to the places where they already are. We're not going to make them do anything new. We're going to go to the places where they already are. GitHub and Atlassian account for 90% of the source code repositories stored in the cloud. Guess what? We've already got integrations to both those. AWS, 60% of the deployments in the public cloud are in AWS. Guess what? We've already got an integration to AWS. We are raising a $4 million US seed round, and we're going to use that money to aggressively enter those markets, right? Those marketplaces. We're also going to use that money to build an office in Salt Lake City. Woo! Thank you, Mark. I've built multiple businesses in Salt Lake City, and I love it, and it's a great place to build an engineering team. We're going to hire aggressively both in the Australian, we're on the Gold Coast in a cohort, going to build aggressively in that team as well as the American team. And my ask today is, if any of you know somebody, startups, this includes you, that wants to address security inside of the software that they sell to their customers to make sure that's secure, please come and talk to me. And I'm raising money, so if you want to be part of our round, please come and talk to me as well. And I don't have a cool QR code, so just come and talk to me and I'll give you my deck. Thank you very much. Paul McCartney.
And we're open for questions.
He's right here.
Questions? Hello, Lou. Hello, Mark. They've got me on the runner. Hello.
Thank you, Mark.
Paul,
Thank you.
Lou
G'day.
from
G'day,
Sprint.
Lou.
How are you,
How's it going,
mate?
buddy?
How are you? Great pitch. Thank you very much, mate. Back a couple of slides. What's your go-to-market on attracting those Atlassian programmers to get you in front of them when they're so busy? How are you going to execute on that?
Yeah, good question. So basically, specifically with Atlassian, some of our investors are from the Atlassian crew, and we're working currently on being able to be a part of that Atlassian onboarding in the marketplace. They're making a really big move into security. They now have a security tab on the left side when you log into Bitbucket. We want to be part of that tab, right?
Any more questions?
Hi, Paul.
Good day, mate.
Just on your costs, what's the hard cost on the analyses? So you charge $1 per analyses.
That's a great question. I've actually never had anybody ask me that. It depends. So we do 4 different types of analyses right now. The most expensive, right now, it's probably about $1 for that particular analysis. That's our web vulnerability. That we wrote that from scratch. Some of the other analyses would be less than 12, 13, 14 cents, something like that.
Right, okay. So if they cost $1 as a hard cost, you're not
Correct.
making any profit on them.
Yeah, but this is in the beginning, right? So it's early days, so we need to build that scalability, and we're moving into AWS Fargate. Again, AWS. Thanks, mate.
Hey, just wanting to know what your MRR is right now.
Good question. So we launched the production version of it, which is super early, October 24th. Our MRR as of today with 8 customers is $5,240. And our pipeline's good. We want to make sure that we land really strongly with this product that we have, address the needs of the customer before we turn the spigot on. We want to make sure that we do it right because we don't want to mess up their development processes.
Great pitch, first of all. Thank you so much. Looking at some of the logos that you have on that slide there, some of the products in and of themselves, like GitHub, do have quite compelling application security offerings, such as Dependabot. How do you differentiate yourself to them, and how do you compete with them?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. All right. So basically, many of the technical tools like SAST and SCA, sorry, acronyms here, but he asked a technical question, so I apologize. Those are a small part of the car, right? And what customers really want is they want the whole car. They want to be able to see all that data going in somewhere where we can give them insights about that data coming in from the source code, their build environment, AWS, and so on and so forth, right? And that's something that we do that nobody else is doing right now. And that's a great question. Thank you.
We have a question from the online audience. So, do you provide a guarantee? If you miss something, your customer's exposure is pretty high.
Do we provide a guarantee? Well, listen, security is never a guarantee, right? So when we put our seatbelt on when we get in our car, right, that makes us statistically more safe than if we didn't put it on. But it does not mean that I'm not going to get in a car crash, right? So I can't guarantee that, but what I will tell you is that I will guarantee you that you will be more secure, that you'll be better off than if you weren't using the Secure Stack platform.
And thank you very much for the questions, and a round of applause for Paul.
Thank you, everybody. Cheers.
And next up, we have Trish Mackey-Smith from Indocs.
Hi, my name is Trish Mackey-Smith. I'm CEO and co-founder of Indocs Digital Property Logbooks. Imagine all of your property information in one place, accessible 24 hours. And what we're doing, we're solving a huge issue for builders. They're feeling overwhelmed. They have so many obligations now to provide certain information to their consumer. They must provide information about warranties, maintenance, contacts for the trades. And this is very difficult for them to do because they don't have the software. So we come in, Indocs solves their problem. It's an online property management system, and it also has an after-sales service that's automated. Anthony, he's been a great customer since 2018. He's a well-respected apartment builder, and 11 of his property developments have gone onto Indocs. And he loves the templates to help with compliance, so he meets all those obligations very easily. He loves setting alerts for warranty reminders, maintenance reminders, and safety checks. And the fact that it transfers from owner to owner means that his branding lives on and he can stay relevant and engaged with his first owner and all subsequent owners for the whole life cycle of the property. There are 2.5 billion properties in the world that could use an Indocs logbook. We're going to acquire 5 million in the next 5 years and have all that data on Indocs. So already we've got over 2,200 logbooks that have been issued by paying customers all around Australia. And we are definitely finding market fit. We've got 7 new B2B customers this week, and 19 are in the pipeline to be onboarded next week. We've also identified that there are other customer groups that could benefit from Indocs and provide very high quality property data. So we have integrated our software with gyms. We have a strategic partnership in place, and over 5,000 of the gyms reports per month can get issued on an Indocs logbook. This is huge traction. And not only that, while we've been working with gyms for the last 12 months, we saw another opportunity. Why not provide this service for other inspectors? So we're building right now, our devs are very busy, building a new e-commerce platform that will be wholly owned by Indocs, operated by Indocs, powered by Indocs. It's called ratemyinspectors.com. This will mean that inspectors can resell their reports and have ratings, a bit like Rate My Agent, but they're not a competition. Our business model is a SaaS and a monthly subscription for company-branded logbooks. And for Rate My Inspectors, there will also be a monthly subscription plus revenue. And we project that in 2 years' time, we'll have 900,000 monthly recurring revenue. There are other logbooks around the world, but we have this huge competitive advantage to get rapid traction and scale. We feel that we're at an inflection point. My name is Trish. I've been a property lawyer and a building consultant for 20 years with my co-founder, who's a commercial builder, certifier, and an award-winning building consultant. We have an awesome team, sales expert in selling software, a marketing guru, and 3 loyal devs who've been with us since 2018. And we have awesome mentors as well, highly experienced. Hi, Greg. So we plan to launch Rate My Inspectors. It's being built, should be launched by February, and we're doing that through gyms at their annual conference, and this will mean rapid traction. So in 2024, we're going to raise again, enter the UK market, and then sell by a trade sale, exit by a trade sale. So our business plan details the application of funds for an 18-month runway. And we will be scaling the Rate My Inspectors, promoting that, and also meeting the obligations and the milestones in order to be prepared for the Series A. By the way, we're raising $1 million. I should have said that. So thank you very much. We're on a mission. We want to bring trust and transparency into the property industry. Come and talk to me if you're interested. Thank you.
We do have a super athletic roaming mic with sneakers on. So any questions for Trish? Yes, we've got one at the front here and one down the aisle as well.
Blockchain. Have you thought about putting the logbook on blockchain?
That's definitely on our roadmap.
Excellent.
Doing a great job. Thank God he wore sneakers.
Hi, great pitch. Thank you so much. What does your user stickiness tend to be like? Do your users tend to log in when it comes to the sale of a property, or is your daily or monthly active user number relatively stable?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear what that question was.
I was asking about your daily active user numbers and your monthly active user numbers. Do they tend to be relatively stable, or do they just fluctuate around the sale of a particular property with the users that you currently have on the platform?
The users stay because they're actually sponsored by the company that uses the logbook, so they stay with having a logbook for the entire life cycle.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued about this traction. It sounds like you're having a great month. Can you tell us a bit more about what's going on and where all these new customers are coming from?
The new customers, yeah, I think we've got a sales guru on our team now, and sales process that's really working. Yeah, and with our marketing as well, that's really helped.
I'm coming, Steve. Don't worry.
Thanks, Trish. What do you charge, and how do you charge, and what's your path to market? I don't get why you'd use it. I struggle a lot with the numbers with respect to the size of your market. So how do you actually? What do you charge to the usage question, and how many people are using it? That was the question, not sales. It was about how active are the people you've got actually in the product.
Okay. Well, the way we're charging is a monthly subscription, and it's tiered. So it's on average $199 a month for a construction company that might do 100 handovers for the year. We have also another tier for the enterprise organisations that might have a franchise, for example, and that's $8.99 a month. As for the users, yes, they're very active because, especially when it's a brand new build, they want to know.
What's very active? I mean, forget with the flowery terms. Use numbers. What's very active? How many per month? What's the percentages? It's a room full of investors. What are the numbers?
The numbers vary because warranties are set by the builder. Warranty expiry dates.
Do you know, or they just you don't want to tell us? Do you actually know the numbers, or you don't want to tell us? That's the other question I've got now. I mean, what are the numbers? Is it 5%, 1%? Is it 1,000 active users out of 10,000? What? This is stuff you should be able to tell us, Trish.
Yeah, sure. As I said, it varies. So from owner to owner, whether they want to add more documents, they can add videos, they can continue adding their own warranties, etc. So it varies. And we've got this traction only very recently, so we can't say accurate numbers right now, but it goes up and down. But in general, people are active because of the alerts.
Trish, we have an online question from the audience online. If we invested in your business, would you spend funds on developers, sales, or the salaries of your current staff members? Where would the money go?
Sales and marketing. That's where we need. We've built the tech. We've got a pipeline of customers. We just need to reach those and close the sale.
Okay, thank you, Trish. Round of applause for Trish. Some nice, tough questions for the future founders coming on the stage. And next up, we've got Chris Maycock from Coaction.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Maycock, and I'm here to tell you about Coaction, our revolutionary fintech for heavy mobile equipment. Let me start by telling you about Zach. So Zach has a common problem in the heavy construction industry. He's done his time with an independent contractor, done 4 years, and started to build his own book of business. He wants to go out on his own. He rents a machine, and he starts to build a strong book himself. But the banks don't like the idea of financing a 7-year-old dozer, even though it is only 3,000 hours old. He's stuck with a situation where he's paying high fixed financing arrangements, irrelevant with how he uses the machine. The bank has no insights into how that machine is treated or its degradation in real time. So they have to make conservative residual value assumptions. Our point of difference is we have a unique understanding around how the equipment is used. We do that by monitoring and combining that with our depth of experience in the heavy equipment condition intelligence space. So when the equipment is working hard, we're able to understand that and price the finance accordingly. Whereas when it's parked up and the machine's value is not really changing, the financing payments reflect that. Over time, what that means is the customer is paying a fixed rate, which covers our interest expense, and then they pay down the interest when they're working. So it more closely aligns with their business cash flow, which is a great advantage. The majority of the usage payments are credited against the customer outstandings, so they are actually paying off their machine when they're making money. And the more they work, the quicker they're going to pay off the machine. How do we do it? We have a telematics unit that monitors the usage on board the machine. We combine that with insights from marketplace pricing, as well as condition intelligence built from 25 years of Dingo software, which is the existing business of my co-founder, Paul Higgins. So we've got access to that, but we're an independent entity with exclusive licensing for the use of that IP in asset finance. And with that, we're able to power our variable finance model, as well as providing advanced analytics in condition and operational data to our customers. So for Zach, he's provided us great validation. He's actually been on a pilot program with us for over a year. It's offered him a solution that's less than half the cost of the rental that he was on previously, and it's given him a pathway to ownership. It's aligned to his variable work demands, and as well, we've been able to give him confidence over the condition of the major components of his piece of equipment. In terms of where we go from here, we've had strong feedback from the market and the testing that we've done to date, and we've actually recently launched, which has given us, I think we're sitting at 3 leads at the moment, Cole. So, we've got strong traction in the 2.5 weeks since we actually launched the product to market, and we're looking to distribute through established channels, so both finance brokers as well as through partnerships with equipment sales providers. In terms of differentiation, everyone's familiar with the banks, but the banks have a very conservative view around credit of both the customer as well as condition of the asset. There's fintech lenders who are doing things around technology, but they don't have the unique understanding around the condition of the equipment as well as how it degrades over time. Whereas those that do have that understanding aren't taking a progressive approach to the financing. And you may say, well, what about Caterpillar and the likes? Sure, they're the gorilla in the room, but they're not incentivized actually to change the way they finance the equipment because they make their money from sales of parts and the service revenue that they generate under warranty. So they're not looking to do the same thing that we are really trying to do. So we're a first mover in this space for heavy mobile equipment. In terms of the opportunity, everyone knows how strong construction is, and it's a massive platform for growth off the back of the pandemic. So we're riding the tailwinds of industry. We're starting in Australia as a fintech lender, but the real opportunity is moving to a SaaS model into the US. So we've already got strong reception from established financiers in the regions, and we've also got a team which is which has a lot of experience in that space. So both Paul Higgins, who took Dingo with Cole, our new CEO, to the US 20 years ago, and then Cole subsequently built a fintech business based out of the US. So we've got proven track record there. We're currently in the midst of closing our seed funding round. So we're almost there. We've got 900K committed, and I would love to hear your questions and further the conversation.
Chris, thanks for that great pitch. Can you tell, you showed the pie chart of the number of customers that you've surveyed that are interested, would consider it, and are not interested. How do you grow that? Do you grow into other segments outside heavy machinery? Is there mining? Is there another sector that you can grow into to increase that pie and increase the market?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge for us is defining the niche where we'll start. So who's got the propensity to pay, and where do we go in terms of a starting point? So we've focused on the SME civil contracting space. They're the ones that are really challenged with the existing financing solutions. And the gear we understand, but there's little technology sophistication in the monitoring of it. So we've got a lot of experience from the larger heavy mobile side of things that we can bring and differentiate ourselves. That's where we start. And then, so we're starting with diggers, dozers, front-end loaders. It's pretty simple gear. It's readily applicable across multiple sectors. But then, beyond that, yellow gear more generally, yep, we grow from there, and agriculture are the logical stepping stones. So if it's got tracks and tyres, big and heavy, we can do it down the track.
Thanks a lot.
Chris, thanks for the pitch. Quick question. Let's imagine a black swan event, which has a massive impact like COVID did on restaurants, but all heavy equipment is shut down because the Chinese don't want any more of our resources. Actually, that's not a black swan event, that's happened. But if we take the extreme that the dozer is parked for 2 years, how do you make money?
Yep, so there's a couple aspects to that. So we take a fixed fee, which largely covers the interest component of our funding expense. But more broadly, very quickly, the portfolio effect. So we're not looking to lend heavily to individual users, and we're also looking to take exposure to assets which are applicable across multiple industries. So we're trying to get away from sort of individual event exposure in that way. If a nuclear bomb came and landed in southeast Queensland tomorrow, I think we would have some challenges, but I think a lot of us would as well. Does that answer the question?
Hey Chris, great concept, Cal. A couple of questions. So first one is sounds like you're all over the asset risk involved in this, which is fantastic. So what about the individual operator risk, right? So are they doing the right thing? Are they actually going to be able to get the work? So how do you actually assess that, and how do you actually account for that?
Can I just dig into that in terms of how they use the asset or their business?
Yeah, just can they make their business work? If they're not, I mean, you can have black swan events, but if they're not running a successful business and getting enough usage to pay for it, so how do you actually assess that?
Yeah, so we're not jumping out into the market and saying we're going to lend to 20 people tomorrow and take anyone that puts their name forwards. So we've got a fairly defined and well-trodden credit process that we've built around, so built on established processes in terms of credit assessment. So we're looking to validate that the customer has some traction and validity to work in the market, and at least for the next 12 months, we're going to take a fairly hands-on approach in terms of how we get in, understand their business and validate their propensity to pay. But what we're looking for is someone who's got a strong narrative and a strong way to make that money, and gear that we can take confidence in.
Chris, well done for putting 1.9 on 1.5 away. Good pitch. I'm curious. So I don't know where you sit. So you've got a bit of technology that sits on the yellow thing, but you're not the actual lender. So I take it you're a marketplace for money. You're a marketplace for people, and you use a technology solution to glue it together. Is that right?
So starting point is us as the fintech lender in Australia. So we are the ones taking the wholesale debt in, lending it on the individual lease basis.
So that
the
money
customer.
there is to actually lend it to buy yellow things and lend out. Is that right?
No, that's focused on tech, sales and marketing and our overheads, and we're backing it with debt in the back end as well.
Right, so you got a financier who comes in with the money.
Yep.
You find the customer.
Yep.
You put the cute techie thing in place, so you give them a different charging model. So talk about your margins then. So what's your margin on you've got $100 million in yellow things under management, however you describe your business and your metrics.
Yep.
And it'd be great to understand what that is, what's your margin and why should we care? And what's the actual unit economics of this business?
Yeah, so as the Australian fintech lender model, which is probably the easiest one to talk to start with, margin in the vicinity of 3 to 4%. And you compare that to the net interest margins that the banks are chasing at the moment, that's significantly higher. In terms of what current market players are charging, so the closest product that we would likely be competing against is Iron Capital. So they're a short-term rent to buy, 12 to 24 months for this year. They're on 23.8% effective interest. So that's the sort of headline.
One's your margin, one's the other guy's costs, but the bloke's paying more than 3 or 4%. 3 or 4% is just your cost, right? That's your take.
No, that's our margin.
Yeah, that's your take. But your take isn't 23. His take isn't 23%. Your take isn't your take is 3 or 4. I'll take it offline. We're out of time.
Sure. Yeah, but and if I can say one about the SaaS play into the US, so the margin that we're looking to take there is on a percentage of funds allocated by the lender, and that's 0.25% is what we've modelled there.
Well answered. Thank you, Chris. Round of applause. Because up next we do have Doris. Before Doris comes on, can I just remind you guys, hello? Thank you. Can I remind you guys that the hashtag is RiverPitch 2021. And also, if you can courteously use the outside perimeters when you're actually walking through, that would be amazing, so that we can actually get some amazing shots, not only of the founder, but the wonderful screen. Thank you. Doris.
Thanks, Pauline, for playing along. Hi, my name's not Doris. It's actually the name of my business. My name's Alicia, and I'm a First Nations woman from far north Queensland. My mum calls me a Doris, though, because amongst my people, it's a cheeky insult that you get called if you stick your nose into other people's business too much. Not in an irritating way, but in a helpful way, and always with the best intentions. And that's why it was the perfect name for my business, because it is the Doris for artists. Why do artists need a Doris? They are struggling. Research shows that a huge portion of artists make applications for financial assistance. 3 in 5 have to have other jobs to sustain their income, and their median income is $30K in a year. Why should you care? Well, artists play an important role in societies all over the world, as art is an incredible vehicle of expression, making messages and information accessible to those that may face disadvantages, such as illiteracy. In fact, art has been called one of the great equalizers of society. And my ancestors started selling their art to Westerners when they first came here to make money, a foreign concept to them at the time, and rapidly became one of the world's most exploited group of artists. How so? Well, when you consider my people's art was one of the first ways we could create value through a Western lens, and that up to 83% of Indigenous art circulated in the market today is fake, it only takes a little exploration to see this devastating reality. And it is devastating, especially given Indigenous artists share some of the world's oldest messages and information. And I think we can do better. That's why I've spent the past 4 to 5 years building Doris. Doris is an application that helps artists not only monetize their artworks in different ways, besides selling their physical painting, but also allows them to declare ownership over their art. As a practical use case, meet Gina. Gina is an Awakabel and Biripi woman. PTC, a phone company, wants to incorporate Gina's artwork into their phone cases. Their partnerships manager spots Gina's artwork in a gallery, scans the QR code next to the painting, and then is then taken to her Doris profile, which has not only all of her artworks, but her licensing packages as well. So they select the package that suits them best, pays the advance sum, and settles on the royalty percentage that Gina is comfortable with. And then Gina is able to see all of her designs in over 60 stores around Australia. Now, half of you may be thinking, well, why not NFTs as well? And before the other half, who may laugh in their skepticism, I would like to explain why Doris does offer licensing and NFTs to our artists. And that's due to the beauty of blockchain. As a digital ledger, blockchain enables Gina to claim ownership of her artwork by authenticating that it's hers, which enables her to provide a form of protection to her intellectual property. But also, due to how NFTs work with smart contracts, this process can not only be automated, which means no extra work for Gina as a time-poor artist, but also that she gets a clip of every transaction, because NFTs with royalties enabled means each time the NFT is sold, Gina still gets a cut, which takes the pressure off the initial sale. So even if the initial sale of the NFT is either underpriced by Gina herself or she's undercut by competition, she can still benefit. Now you may be thinking, surely there's other people that offer licensing and NFTs to artists as well, but currently there is no single service that allows artists to do both of these that is efficient and low touch. There are some artists who can afford to hire their own agents, and some artists are signed up to galleries. However, these groups often lack the expertise to offer licensing and NFTs. But I haven't included them as competition, however, as they can be users of my solution. And this solution is obviously applicable to other content creators as well, with licensable assets. But I have a mission to start with focusing on onboarding First Nations artists first, not just in this country, but in countries all over the world, as due to systemic issues, they do sit at the bottom rung. So how does Doris make money? Well, it takes a clip of every transaction that's facilitated on the platform. So for NFTs, that's the sale of the NFTs. And for licensing, there's an advance sum that is paid up front. And then there are royalties if the artwork is used in a commercial way. So if the primary purpose of the product is for the artwork, then they will pay royalties on that. And we're asking tonight for capital to help finish building the app, to enable us to launch it and reach our goal of achieving $1 million in revenue over 12 months, which you can project for using the most commonly bought package for businesses, which is 4 artwork downloads for $999. So you'd need 80 businesses per month to get that product, which is actually less than 1% of businesses in Australia alone. So we're asking for $500K to finish the lean product build to enable us to get a timely entry into the NFT industry, especially as it is growing rapidly, but still early enough for us to have substantial market penetration. So if you want to be a Doris, you can find me after this, which shouldn't be too hard. Thank you.
Open for questions. Got one at the
I'm
back there.
coming.
Great pitch, congratulations. What sort of validation have you done with people in your community or Australia-wide to get an understanding of the validation of the business model that you're proposing?
Yeah, so the licensing an interesting one. The reason I looked at that in the first place was my first business was incorporating Indigenous artworks into activewear, and in doing so and trying to license the artwork myself from Indigenous artists, I found that there was no central infrastructure to actually facilitate that. So for me it was more, okay, who knows an Indigenous artist? Hey, do you want to put your artwork onto my activewear? And I had other business owners coming to me when they found out what I was doing and saying, we also want to work with Indigenous artwork, but we just don't know where to go. And so I actually started mediating the deals between business owners and artists because they didn't know how to talk to Indigenous artists themselves, and commonly the deals would break down because the business owner would unintentionally say something ignorant, the artist would get offended, and the whole deal would collapse. So in doing so, I realized there's a need for this infrastructure, and so I looked globally as well, and the licensing industry is huge, but art makes up less than 1% of it, because licensing is commonly like McDonald's toys based off the latest Disney film. And so for myself, over the past 4 to 5 years, I've been mediating licensing deals, and I thought there has to be a better way, so that's why I sought to create a platform that actually helps facilitate this.
Hi, Alicia. Oh, sorry. Everyone give her a clap for that answer. Hi, Alicia. I'll start again. I'm from London, so I know the term Doris. We use that ourselves. It means
Really?
exactly the same thing
Wow.
in the UK. Yeah. So that resonated with me. The question I have is around the Indigenous sector, how big is that market? So I understand, and having spoken to Liam, your partner here for the last couple of hours, I've asked him this question, but I wanted to ask you directly, how big is that market? I know that you can expand out past the Indigenous artwork and go, forward into other markets, but where do you see it stopping? How big is that market? When do you reach your maximum output there?
Yeah, well, so the goal with this is not to reach the maximum. So yeah, the First Nations artwork globally, a couple $100 million. But I do have intentions to open this to non-Indigenous artists as well, as they face the same problem of not being able to license their artwork. It's just the Impact Initiative to start with, focusing on onboarding Indigenous artists. So we have a cultural art marketplace, but we'll also have a general art marketplace as well for other artists. So art industry as a whole is quite large. And then as you'll see from the staircase, there are lots of other avenues and verticals we can go down with other content creators. So i.e. anyone that has a licensable asset like Addison Rae from TikTok, you could license her name onto cushions. We'd also be able to apply the application to her vertical as well.
Why NFTs? Why have you saying NFT now is like saying AI? To be quite honest, it's a buzzword used to get attention. So, how are you going to apply the amazing technology of blockchain to a physical, real-world thing that you can't control as soon as it leaves the computer universe? And so, do you then understand where this is applicable to? I'm very keen to understand where you think this is going to go.
Yeah, so you're just wondering why NFTs in particular, and I might have missed the second part of your question.
Well, NFT is a perfect digital representation of the fact that you own this thing, but someone's going to copy it anyway and not give a stuff about the blockchain, right? So you've lost control of it as soon as it leaves the virtual universe. But there's places where virtual universes are really valuable, right? Where you can control what occurs inside them. The metaverse, it's a shit term, is worse than NFT, but it's what it is. So, so that's where it needs to go. As soon as you start saying you're going to go back to the physical world, you haven't thought through the technology. It's actually disappointing. Because there's a real problem here, I get that. But, how do you apply this NFT to something that's actually durable? I don't know, more a rant, I'm not too sure, but...
Yeah, as to the first part of the question, so why NFTs? For the value in the NFTs is just the power of blockchain itself. So as a digital ledger and tokenizing the artwork, it gives the artwork a stamp to go, this is what data was uploaded, this was who uploaded it. And that's something that artists struggle, is a lot of the times even designers, for example, have their designs stolen by big brands all of the time because it's very hard to prove where it came from initially, and blockchain is enabling people to do that. So the NFT value is in that aspect, but also the clip of the ticket, the royalties enabled. The second part of your question is in terms of the physical, like losing the value of the physical. It's very hard to control physical stealing of artworks. For us, the value is going to come in the brand of Doris itself. With our, for example, to onboard Indigenous artists, we have a due diligence process to ensure that we're onboarding authentic Indigenous artists, because that's a huge problem in this industry. And so the power is going to come from our brand and the process with which we do that. In terms of physical artwork itself, we're not dealing with physical artwork. So the power will just be in the artist to be able to say, hey, I have this, people can tokenize it or license it. And the physical painting, it's a way to enable them to declare ownership of art that has been exchanged in the physical space as well, to have that sort of digital record, I suppose. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Alicia.
you, everyone.
So I do know we had more questions, so don't forget to grab Alicia after at the networking time. And so next up we do have Tyson Jennings from Yodel.
Just for the record, this is awesome being on stage. Hi, I'm Tyson, co-founder of Yodel. We are Australia's most exciting showcase of local business, helping people to eat, shop, work, and save money locally. Some of you may know me. You may know us as a shift-filling platform, but unfortunately, COVID killed what we were doing, and we had to work out how to pivot. So we pivoted our business hard to add value to our users, and we've had some explosive growth. We have over 20,000 users on our platform and 25,000 businesses listed. And it says 2,500 monthly active users. It's actually 2,900 when I checked it this morning. And we are growing rapidly. So I've told you the cool stuff. You're probably wondering, what the hell is Yodel? So think of it like this. You want to order fish and chips from your local fish and chip shop. You don't know what platform they're on. So you jump on Uber Eats, you can't find them, you get the shits, you end up ordering Macca's. You're not happy because you didn't get what you wanted. The business isn't happy because they didn't get your business. And the only person happy is Macca's. And they've got a clown to keep them happy, so they don't need you. So how Yodel works is it brings together 45 different online sources and aggregates them into one easy-to-use platform, making it easy for you to buy local, support amazing businesses, and find amazing choice. But we're not just a core app. We're actually an interconnected network of white labels that we build for different organisations. Think of it like this. Pineland's here. They're a shopping centre here in Queensland. They've got 45 retailers there, small mum and dad businesses. They get exposure in their app, and then across into the Yodel app with our 20,000 users, and then across into the RevFrogs app with their projected 60 to 100,000 users. This is amazing exposure for these small mum and dad businesses that are really struggling coming out of the back end of COVID. So we have some amazing customers on our platform, people like Pinelands and RevFrogs that we talked about, and the amazing guys at WorkPack. But we love the small businesses. We love helping them, and we love the ones we've helped. But we're even more excited about our pipeline customers. We've got lots of them. In particular, Total Focus Cleaning, who should be closed in the next week. So we're a SaaS platform. This is how we make money, Steve. So we've got deals. We're a 3-pillar program. We're going to make $33 per month for deals and advertising on the platform. We also do affiliate programs with Groupon, DoorDash, Woolworths. Those are fleshing out every day. But the crowning jewel of our monetization strategy is our white labels. We make 42,000 ARR per white label, and we have currently 12 in the pipeline to be delivered in the next few months. So our current MRR, we're sitting at 10,000. It's actually going to be 15,000 by the end of next week, but Simon told me I wasn't allowed to put that up there. Our pipeline, we're sitting at 20,000 by the end of the year, should be delivered, and our pipeline for next year is actually at 1.5 million already ARR to be delivered. Our cost per acquisition for our core platform is 89 cents per user with a LTV of 3:1 projected. So our total addressable market in Australia, working with shopping centres, governments, councils, affiliate programs, is 85 million. And then globally, it's 12.2 billion. Now, these are people we've already sold to. We know their pain point. We know how we solve it, and we know how to sell to them. But the best thing about the global thing, because that always looks good to people, but it means nothing. But a great example of this is Yodel crosses borders really well. So we decided to turn the platform on in New Zealand just to see what would happen. Within 3 days, we had users using the platform, bringing businesses in, and now we have businesses, as you can see, from Auckland all the way down to Dunedin, which is a pretty small place. So we're a platform, and one of the key things with platforms is you need to build trust in the community. So we went out there and we started making videos with all these amazing small businesses that we're listing on our platform. We've made over 120 of them and reached over 750,000 people gaining exposure for our platform and building trust in what we're doing. Now, in terms of competitors, there's quite a few people that play in this kind of space, but if you want to aggregate everything together, be able to purchase in the app, link to multiple industries, and look, to be honest, we're an amazing discovery platform, and also white label, we're the people you need to come and see. So this is our founding team. Simon and myself have worked together for over 17 years. We've taken our learnings from our time. You might wonder why Macca's is there. We were in operations at McDonald's. We've taken our lessons we've learned from that, as well as our pre-pivot lessons working with accelerators and people like that. And that's how we've achieved this rapid growth. Tom is our Director of Business Development. He is that awesome sales guy that loves calling CEOs, pestering them, and getting that deal done. We also have a great team behind us, like our in-house tech team of Dave and James. And great advisors, like Estelle, Matt, and Mark. So we've done some crazy good things. We did a capital raise just before COVID, Events Queensland grants, just ticked over 20,000 users, as we talked about, and we've got DoorDash integration to be finalised this quarter. But the most exciting thing coming up is we're going to the US with the RevFrogs guys. We're going to be at spring break in April, so if anybody's keen to go party, come and see us. Actually, we're not really going. We're not going. They're going. So we're raising 1.5 million. The majority of that is in marketing and sales. As I said, our cost per acquisition is 89 cents per user. So with 600K, we can hit 660,000 users. Sales, we're looking to hire SaaS enterprise sales experts in Sydney, Melbourne, and Auckland, and the majority, and then the rest of that money is going towards development, making sure that we can make that land in the US amazing. So, who wants to come Yodel with us?
We're open for questions. Who's curious about Yodel? The pitch was that good, was it?
Sweet, thanks.
No? Well, this might be a first.
Tyson, I do have a question since I'm running. And first of all, you better bloody know your numbers, mate. Just letting you know. Second, I guess, what does success look like for you long term? Because obviously when you're hyper-local, like you are, you have to have a footprint in the communities you go into. What does success look like? What are you going to put that $1.5 million to use? How are you going to get those people on board?
Okay, cool. So based on what we've already done, we can basically take what we've done and we can duplicate that across multiple audiences. So take, for example, marketing. We know exactly how to land in different communities, create content that appeals to them, do it quickly, get it out there, and get those users. That's one of the big things with getting that users in. In terms of sales, Tom, our sales guy, is sitting over there, go talk to him. He's done some incredible stuff, learning exactly how to sell exactly to our customers, and so he'll be coaching them, moving all these SaaS people across the country in terms to deliver on those white labels.
So, Tyson, a lot of people are thinking, okay, white label. We normally advise people against white label. Take us through how that's bringing the value to your business.
Yeah, perfect, great. So yeah, white labels, typically not particularly a great thing, but because we talked about it earlier, because the business has come across multiple different sets, I missed a big point actually. Good pickup, mate. We own the data. So across all of those different platforms, as it's going from Pinelands, great example, Pinelands to Yodel to Red Frogs, we own the data of the small businesses. So it's not just all of that cool stuff that we're talking about, we also have a data play there where we know what all the small businesses are in the local area and the data that goes around them.
We got one more in the front.
Yeah, so just a quick question down the back. As an aggregator, how vulnerable are you to the platforms that you aggregate with turning off access to your API? So we see this a lot through some of the networks we work with where the platforms that you're actually aggregating to are acquired and the API access to third parties are turned off. What impact would that have on your revenue, and it does still make you a viable opportunity?
Yeah, great question. Essentially, because we pick from so many different data points, so let's take food's a really easy thing because everybody understands it. So you've got Menulog, Uber Eats, Deliveroo, most businesses across those three. So Menulog, they've been acquired, but let's just say they got acquired again. If they got switched off, we still have access to the Uber Eats and the Deliveroos of the world. So we're not banking in one place. We're going across multiple different places to make sure we have the best data. And the auxiliary effect of that is, this is one of the reasons small businesses love us. We allow them to have exposure across multiple things. So most small businesses hate Uber because they take huge commissions, whereas they love some of those other players, so we can preference those for them as well. It allows us to do a twofold sort of play there.
Next up, can I introduce you to Liam Murray from Build Apps?
Hi, I'm Liam Murray. I'm a passionate sailor, hence the hat. And if anyone wants to just talk to me about sailing afterwards and not business, feel free. I'm the solo founder of Build Apps, and I've got a lot of experience in the commercial real estate sector. Been doing it for the last 15 years and been advising over $200 billion worth of commercial real estate during that time. What I've noticed is these big property owners, they needed a way to be empowered so that they could control, own, and govern their data. Working with these big REITs, so the real estate investment trusts, They wanted to have this data democracy where they had great access but also great control. Instead, they were forced down the route of doing SaaS and having endless different platforms in different directions. Our market opportunity is huge. There's $15 trillion worth of commercial real estate out there, and typically one of these big REITs would spend at least 1.5% on operations a year. Working with one of those, we worked out that it's about 0.8% of that is on software. That gives us, if we can take 1% of the market, $192 million per annum, plus customization costs. The product that we've got is Adam & Co. Adam & Co is a family of business applications. So Adam is the father, and then all of his children unlock different elements of the platform. It's done the same again. You jump back on that? At the top. Oh, that's cool. There you go. Let's go to that one. Yeah, so it's a holistic platform that we can help the entire business, so every single department, rather than silos of data. We've created something where we can create every single department, from approvals and investments to leasing team. We're really proud of what we've done in the ESG space. So yeah, we've got patents within the platform around how we bring in the SDGs, and we've managed to build the Green Star platform for the GBCA at the minute. Everything that we do plays on the Microsoft Trust, so it's all built inside their own tenancy, and we've built the cloud for commercial real estate. Our unique selling point is that we reconfigure the client's own platform within their tenancy. We can deploy app by app, meaning that it's really powerful, and we've got a huge customer lifetime value. It's a subscription and an ongoing model, and we're looking to everything that's available in the Power Platform. Our customer value spans across the whole business. The clients on the right will testament to this, and we've just tipped over recently over the 100 million, so I probably should have done that, 100 million square meters of commercial real estate. Improved staff efficiency, reduced contract execution times, took one client from 130 different SaaS platforms down to 9. We've been able to demonstrate that there's much more interest when you're selling a building and you've got lots more data available. And then most importantly, in the big REIT sector, you can answer the questions from your investors a lot quicker. Jumping slides there. We've got a dynamic pricing model, meaning we can scale up and down. Anybody who owns more than $250 million of property, we can scale up and down. This example here is a deal that we're just about to close for a $37 billion fund. You can probably work out which fund in Australia that is, because there's not many in that space. And yeah, that amounts to just taking 3 apps off us is $200,000 in the first year and then $150,000 there afterwards. This discounting factor means we can play across the different scales, and it's all based on the size of their funds. We're really proud that all of our team is Queensland-based, and we keep all of our development onshore to make sure that we retain the IP. And our team's philosophy is really to try and create a world-leading platform for commercial real estate. We're looking to undertake a strategic global play, and we're looking to secure premier clients in each of the key regions, with a soft landing first of all, and then in 18 months do an aggressive launch. We're looking to leverage with our existing clients who own properties around the world already, and we're part of the Microsoft Startups and Second Century Ventures Reach Accelerator. The ask is for $3.5 million, and we're looking to use that for the strategic growth. It's our first ever raise. Everything so far has been bootstrapped. We're finalising at the minute our best, which is some of those big companies wanted to invest and take minor equity in us. And then we're opening, after Christmas for VCs, investors, and looking to close that round in February, March time. So if you want to join us on our journey, we're looking for anybody who's got experience in scaling software or experience in the commercial real estate or just like sailing. Thanks.
Well done. Well done on persevering through the tech. Open for questions. Surely not again. Don't save them to the last.
Coming, Brian.
Coming. Good.
Thanks for the pitch. I'm not actually sure I understand what you do, and you can look at that as either a good or a bad point. But there was one thing that intrigued me, that you took a client from 130 apps down to 9. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so yeah, we get that often, and trying to boil up our multiple apps in 5 minutes is always a difficult thing. So what we're trying to do is create the common data model, and if everybody has the same version of a common data model, they can share it, but then it's secure in their own environment. So by doing that, we're able to bring in, and they're not attracted to quick SaaS offerings from multiple, and they're constantly bombarded by endless prop tech, going, give me your data, give me your data, give me your data, give me your data, and we're reversing that flow, saying, no, it's my building, I'm going to centralize the data. I can still send out, and we've got lots of APIs that send out, do something smart, send it back, but the data belongs to the owner of the property, not this, what's going on at the minute. The data goes out and on-sold for different purposes.
Hi, question down the back here. You really briefly mentioned it, but I'm quite intrigued. I don't think I've seen anything tonight that touched on this. You mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals and kind of then glossed into something else. I'm really interested what that has to do with your technology and how you're implementing that.
Yep, so the ESG angle of the big funds is very important, and yeah, there's a global ranking scheme called GRESB, which basically it's been proven that the big property ESG funds have tracked so much better during the pandemic, and there's a lot of movement in that space. And so we've kind of taken, by really pushing the development on those ESG-focused apps within the platform, gives us that point of difference, but we're not just an ESG platform. So there's lots of ESG platforms around the world popping up, seeing huge investment, but they're siloing the data off. We're making it so that, they add assets, it helps the maintenance team, it also helps the sustainability team by knowing it's an asset that contains a refrigerant that has a global warming potential of 100.
Firstly, I'd like the hat. Secondly, like you're talking about, your point of difference is your focus on ESG. Could you go into your difference to the competitors in this space?
Yep.
Like, could you name a competitor and your difference?
So we focus on the ESG, but we're also making it so that the apps can be built for everything else as well. The competitors would probably be Yodel or an MRI in that space. They've come from a finance angle, and then now they're trying to build asset management, the maintenance management, the sustainability management on top of it. We're reversing it, and we're coming it from what the operations team want and expect, and that's we're seeing great traction in it.
Quick question from the online audience, just quick. The valuation, how did you get to the valuation, and talk to us about what you, the $3.5 million, where are you going to spend that if you raise?
Yep, so the $3.5 million is to allow us to effectively land, and we're already speaking with major REITs around the world, but it's to put some bodies in each of the 3 regions and make sure that we can get those anchor clients, because we're very conscious we need to make have a global market fit with this, because it's all of our clients own properties all around the place, so it's important we can fit all those goals.
Okay, round of applause. Thank you very much. Okay, we do have 3 more companies, and it's just getting warmed up. So can I have a huge, even bigger round of applause for our next founder, and that is Josh Marsden, and give him applause for actually coming on with crutches. From Active and Thriving. Thank you.
All right. I know, right? The worst part about the boots, actually, you can't use your hands for anything. I'm really excited to be here, and great to meet you all. So Active and Thriving is a strategic behaviour change program that uses gamification, social networks, and science to create mentally, physically, and socially thriving workplaces. We've already got 13 amazing SaaS customers, where we've got an MRR of $16,000 and a further $750,000 in the pipe. MongoDB a global leader in technology, left one of the biggest providers in the world to become our third customer. The University of Queensland chose us over Bupa because of our employee protection system, a contract value of $60,000. Sorry, guys. I don't think we're on. Oh, no, we're on. There's your badges. University of Queensland, ARR of $60,000, which is pretty awesome. We've also got some amazing partnerships that we're kicking off, including Prima EAP, which has 200 corporate clients in need of a digital mental health and wellbeing strategy. For dramatic. We founded Active and Thriving because workplaces are making people sick, and it's costing them significant amounts of money. The average workers' comp claim is $75,000 for mental illness and 15 weeks off work. That is a huge problem when you consider 1 in 5 people at any point in time will have a mental health concern. There's about 150 people in this room tonight. That's a workers' comp risk of $2.2 million. No workplace can afford this. We are solving this problem. In 2015, La Trobe University had a skyrocketing workers' comp premium, up over $2 million every year. I was hired to solve this problem after successfully doing this for Brisbane City Council, and in doing so winning them the gold standard for workplace wellbeing. I did this by following the promotion, prevention and early intervention model, and lo and behold, it ended up saving La Trobe Uni $500,000 on their premium each year. The model works, and we've digitised it. Active and Thriving gives our clients a complete digital wellbeing solution to enable their wellbeing goals. And we do this through wellbeing themes, challenges at the individual and team level, and health promotion activities. We use our employee protection system to identify people that are at risk and give them early support. Team leaders are upskilled to build psychologically safe teams by giving them activities to do directly in the team environment. And every employee that signs up into Active and Thriving gets a unique experience based on their goals, interests, and health profile. And all of this is delivered on an easy-to-use and accessible app to make sustainable behaviour change easy. This leg's tired. So how are we doing this? What we've done is we've digitised 2 frameworks, the promotion, prevention, and early intervention model with the science model of behaviour change from our strategic advisor, Dr. Sean Young. Sean is the Executive Director of UCLA's Centre for Digital Behaviour Change and Prediction Technology. It's these 2 models that we call our employee protection system. It's our competitive advantage, and it's why the University of Queensland chose us. When we first launched the employee protection system with a global client, it identified that 1 in 15 of their employees were high risk of a mental health concern. That's a risk of millions of dollars. After just 8 weeks, when we did the remeasure, 50% of those people have reduced their risk to either moderate or low. The model works. The global market for corporate wellbeing is $76 billion, and the Asia Pacific is the fastest growing region. We are targeting an ARR of $5 million within 3 years. We operate as a B2B SaaS model, and we price ourselves based on organisation headcount. These contract values are going to double as we start integrating the counselling services into our offering. We're targeting large organisations of knowledge-based workers, and our next key milestones for growth are landing in Singapore to target multinationals, where Louis, our co-founder, is currently based, and integrating into HR platforms. Our competitors are thinking one-dimensional, focused on either mental or physical well-being at a single point in time. Well-being is on a continuum, and it includes environmental, social, and personal factors. Active and Thriving encompasses all elements of well-being across the entire employee life cycle. We have the team, there is a pain, we've got some amazing traction, and a product that's already beating the competition. We are raising $1 million to scale our technology team, build out our sales and marketing, and get our first 50,000 users within the following year. These are our next big steps. We're going to integrate people-centered counselling into our service. By adding a reward system and integrating with wearables, we're going to increase our user engagement. By adding, linking into HR systems, we'll be getting useful data insights to provide more individualised care and also link us into another revenue channel. And then by creating an employee-focused marketplace, we're going to increase our revenue, but then also give more user-centric care. With that in mind, who's got the first question?
Thanks, John. So I've got two questions, if that's okay. First one is, you talked about the La Trobe example where you saved them $500,000 in their insurance, yet they'd probably only need to pay you $5,000, and you talk about down the track you'll raise prices as you reach scale. Why don't you double your prices now? Because the savings are so large for corporates. And my second question is, what's your competition in this space? Because I'm sure there's lots of online sort of HR providers that are going to do workplace health and well-being around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first part of the question, that was basically a scene setting of La Trobe. I actually worked as an employee for La Trobe, and it was through that experience in Brisbane City Council we realised that we could actually digitise the work that I'm doing manually and then scale it globally. So as far as building up the contract values goes, yeah, absolutely. And that's a key part of the integrating into the HR and injury management systems, because then once we integrate into them, we will actually have like tangible proof that it's our service that's giving those ROIs, and then we will be able to take a far greater chunk of the pie if we can show that we take one mental health claim off that organisation. And right now, everybody's just fluffing around with the great work the PwC did for the $2.30 return on investment, but that doesn't really carry much weight for most wellbeing programs. As far as the competitive landscape, yeah, it is busy out there, but the main difference is that most competitors, they're focusing at the individual level. So it's a mindfulness app, it's it's an exercise session, whatever it might be. You're not going to create a cultural change by always focusing on the individual. So we're actually looking at this systemically by creating an organisation wellbeing strategy that then factors down through the whole organisation with the goal of actually leveraging off the people inside the organisation to implement those practices in their work teams. So that's why we put so much emphasis on team leaders, which nobody else does, because they've got their direct reports, which they can instantly influence and create a more psychologically safe workplace. But short story is, we're thinking systemically, everyone else is looking at one-on-one wellbeing.
You answered quite a bit of my question actually, but just with when you work with some of the corporates, do you bring a strategy or do you have a tech platform that also measures the success? Like, how do you actually tell that your product is the reason, as I guess, causation of why the outcome might be better for that company?
Yeah, absolutely. So it goes both ways. So when we're looking at, say, for example, the UQs or the essential energies, they'll have their wellbeing strategy in place, and our platform allows them to enable it. We've got over 20 different wellbeing modules of every behaviour under the sun. And then we've got, as part of the employee protection system, our set of surveys called the Promise Series, which gives us the benchmarking for a global mental health score, global physical health score, and a social connectedness score. And based on those measures, we then would adjust their wellbeing strategy accordingly, plus the other learnings that we have inside the platform. And then we would provide individualised care on that as well. Whereas smaller organisations, we'd actually sit down and work out their plan and go from there.
Question from the online audience, my friend. What does long-term success look like? Where do you think your hero market's going to be? And ultimately, what does a potential exit look like?
So long-term goals. So we obviously, we believe that we're in a position to actually lead the entire corporate health and wellbeing market through our plan to integrate into those other platforms and then move overseas as the first landing pad being Singapore. But then we're already talking to Sean, our advisor over UCLA, to see what America might look like. But ultimately, the exit would be looking at one of those larger either HR or injury management platforms in the 5 to 7 year sort of mark.
Thank you very much. Round of applause. And a bigger one for getting off the stage active and still thriving. Okay, so next up we have the amazing David Cole from Fly Freely.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Dr. David Cole, founder and CEO of Fly Freely. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited about drones. Who else is excited about drones? Woo! Well, the great news is there's people and businesses all across the world right now that are excited about drones and are scaling up their usage. But that comes with some challenges. The first challenge you run into is regulations. In Australia, that means you've got to deal with CASA. And anyone who's dealt with CASA knows how painful that is. And then not to mention, depending on what you're doing, you'll have to deal with other state and local bodies. And then if you go to a different country, you've got different regulations, again, you've got to worry about. So it becomes very complex. But the bigger problem you run into is around how do you get consistency across hundreds of pilots flying drones? How do you get reliable data capture and limit the amount of crashes that are happening? Well, you know what happens. You've got to put in processes and systems. And that means paperwork. And paperwork means low productivity. And in fact, in the drone world, a pilot can spend up to 50% of their time filling out forms and paperwork in the field. So our solution to this is pretty simple. Automate the paperwork. We take companies' existing processes and turn them into a digital version. So pilots simply come onto our platform, map out where they're going to fly, and in the background, we then check the rules and regulations. Once they get approval, we dynamically create forms and checklists on their mobile device, so when they go out in the field, all they've got to do is simply follow the list. This has resulted in our customers seeing a 35% increase in the time the pilots are flying and massively reduced the amount of accidents and rework. And it's driving incredible ROI. So in 3 months, our customers are getting their money back. And this has led to us having over 90 companies now across sectors such as mining, construction, energy, consulting and water, government, and higher education. So we think we've got something pretty special. And you know what? The regulator agrees. They've just approved us as a verified CASA application. So that means early next year, we'll actually be able to start doing automated airspace approvals in controlled airspace, which will be a game changer for the industry. So on top of this, we've had some other awesome highlights this year. One is our 90% conversion from trial. So this is all the hard work from the dev team led by Nigel, sales in Carlos, and support from Ben, who have made the product and the experience amazing, and people are loving it. It now means we're winning the Australian market. So we're winning all our head-to-heads with competition, and we're converting their customers. But what we're actually most proud of is our 20% negative churn. Negative churn is a fancy way to say we retain all our customers, and not only retain them, but we actually get them to spend more on the platform. And to give you an idea of what our pipeline looks like right now, we've got a whole bunch of other amazing companies in the pipeline. And we've already got a lot that have verbally committed to coming on board. And again, most excitingly, we've got existing ones that are expanding. So again, Essential Energy, we're talking a lot about Essential Energy. They're going from 5 pilots to 100 pilots. So how does that all translate into revenue? At the moment, we've got 130K RRR, and just those verbal commitments and expansion on the books will add another 80K ARR over the next 3 to 4 months. And with that pipeline following through, we think we can easily achieve 50% month-on-month growth over the next 12 to 18 months. So in terms of our revenue model, we have a free account. But where we get businesses to start is actually in our business plan. So this is really part of our land and expand strategy. So we get them, they start small, and then as they grow, we then upsell them as they need more features to manage more and more operations. All the way through to the enterprise level where they're managing across multiple countries. And we're already starting to see the enterprises pull us into other countries. So obviously we started in Australia, but we've already been pulled into New Zealand, and most recently into Zimbabwe, in USA. And we've now got several customers asking us to, over the next 6 to 12 months, enter into Southeast Asia and Europe. So you may be thinking, how is this possible? How can we add all these countries so quickly? And the reason we can do that is the way we built our platform is we can enable us to add, in different countries' regulations, very easily. It also means we can add in new applications. So literally in the last month, we've been contacted by 2 different drone delivery companies that want to use our platform for all their back-end services. And we're going to be part of a really exciting project early next year, which will kick off and start to build the next generation of air traffic management in Australia, which will actually start to enable the flying taxis. And what's most interestingly of all, is some of our customers who fly drones also operate underwater drones. And they said, can your platform do it? And we said, I don't know, we'll give it a try. And it worked. So what that means is our platform can actually handle any sort of drone. And we see this as giving us not only huge long-term growth, but defensibility, because we don't care if a package gets delivered by a drone or delivered by a vehicle. So in terms of the investment opportunity, we're chasing $1 million, and we're going to use that money to grow the top of our funnel and build out some of those enterprise features to unblock some of those enterprise customers. And probably what is most interesting of all, and be happy to talk offline, is what's happening on the network and the network effects we're generating. So our customers are pulling in their subcontractors and their contractors, and they're also then wanting to do business between each other. And we really think that's where our long-term value will be in monetizing this network, and it's a network of trust. So if you're excited about drones, come and help us fly. Thank you.
Open for questions.
Coming, Lou.
Great to see you, Dave. Well done. Who's your next 5 hires? Product, team, marketing, who are you hiring?
So marketing, we basically have done very little marketing, so that's probably one of the first. But really, someone to drive the partnerships. So it's a key thing for us, because drone world is actually pretty small. So one of our key go-to-markets is through the training schools. And so what we do with the training schools is we actually give them our software for free, and in return, they actually train the students on how to use our software. And guess what? The students get the free logbook for life. So when they come back to their enterprises, they're promoting our product. So really we want to put a lot of energy into that. And obviously that's then going to generate leads, which we'll need salespeople to then convert. That's the primary use of funds.
Hey Dave, I should start with a disclaimer. I'm already an investor with Fly Freely, but I'll ask a tough question since you're looking for some more money. You've got a 90% conversion on trial, and you've got a negative churn of 20%, and your annual recurring revenue is what?
130,000.
Yeah, not a huge amount, especially to satisfy greedy investors like me. So it would seem that you're incredibly lazy and not doing enough demos to actually flesh out the top of that funnel. So tell me about how you're going to get off your arse and do more demos.
Sounds like it.
And what your go-to-market strategy is.
Oh, yeah, so kind of explain the go-to-market through the training schools. But really, what we found, we tried in the early days to go in to these organisations and say, hey, we know how to operate drones. We can save you $1 million, so therefore pay us $100,000. And they went, we don't, it's too risky. We don't understand the technology. So they've reverted back to really starting small. So a lot of what we do is they start small, we build their confidence, and then they start to expand. So that is the reason why. So it's very much a land and expand strategy.
Any more questions, Team Awesome? All right, I think we're good.
Round of applause, thank you.
Pitch the next one.
So we're on to our last pitch for the evening, and a big round of applause for Elliot Smith. Maxwell Plus.
Hello, pleasure to be here. I'm Elliot, co-founder of Maxwell Plus, and we're a breakthrough in the way that prostate cancer is diagnosed, and we do that using AI. So the reason we exist is for people like Peter here. Peter was one of the very first customers at Maxwell Plus, and he has the honour of being the first man that we diagnosed with prostate cancer. Peter was sitting in an audience much like this one. He was a police officer at the time, and we were doing awareness sessions at his workplace. He had all of the early signs of prostate cancer. He had cancer in his family. He'd been tested for years, and there was suspicion in his data, but it got missed. It got missed because finding cancer is hard. But Peter joined us. He joined us because he knew it was in his family and he didn't want it to happen to him. He joined Maxwell Plus, and our AI was able to pick out the signs in his data, his blood test and his medical imaging data that said, Peter, there's something going on here. And we were able to diagnose Peter with an aggressive form of prostate cancer while it was still contained within his prostate. And at that early stage, the survival rates for prostate cancer are 99%. Unfortunately, for thousands of Australians every single year, they don't get caught at that stage. They get caught at later stages where survival drops to 23%. So we're all about using technology to help men get diagnosed early for prostate cancer. And now Peter is one of 37 men who have received an early diagnosis with Maxwell Plus. Thank you. These are men from all walks of life, some young, some older, that have joined, they've had their data analysed, and they've been lucky enough to get an early diagnosis. And to me, this is 37 people that are going to spend the next 2 months over Christmas with their families, and that's a big deal. So we've shown that we've developed AI and a service that can deliver it, that can find prostate cancer when it can be cured, and we do it with fewer unnecessary procedures like biopsies. And this is a big market. Prostate cancer is going to affect 1 in 6 Australian men. I mean, no one in the audience here is a man over 40, so, you know, this is probably irrelevant to a lot of you. But there's a lot of men at risk of this. We spend a lot of money on it too. $63 billion a year in the diagnosis and treatment of prostate cancer. And it's forecasted to grow. We're all living longer, which is a fantastic thing, but that means these diseases that tend to affect us later in life are becoming more and more common. So a brief history of the company. We started Maxwell Plus way back in 2016. We started it with a mission to help men get diagnosed early. In 2019, right then, around Christmas time, we got our regulatory approval. We were one of the first AI devices to be approved in Australia and the UK. We started testing men. We wanted to show that what we knew worked from a technology standpoint would work in the clinic. We saved Peter Jenkins' life, and we've tested 1,629, we've had a busy month, men since then, and found those additional 37 cases of prostate cancer. And we're with the patient from day one, through their journey, through testing, through treatment, and following up that treatment, because we know that builds a long-term relationship with the patient, and it gives us the data that we need to continue to train our AI to make better decisions about diagnosis and guiding patients through that journey. The AI that we have is trained on 12 million data points from 250,000 men. We have 6 different AI models that are approved for clinical use and actively working to sift through men's data every single day. We've shown in the literature we do this better, and we've shown in the clinic that we do this better. The way it works is that men join. They pay themselves, their employer pays, and soon insurers will pay as well for access to Maxwell Plus. They're connected to one of our doctors who's using AI to review all of their past and present data. They go through a personalized testing program based on the findings, and we take them through annual review, or in some cases, all the way through to a diagnosis. And we found that in a traditionally very reluctant group of individuals, that they engage with healthcare, they get their tests done, and they love the platform that we've developed. We want to reach men. We want to reach men at scale and change the conversation around prostate cancer, because we know that when we do, we can save lives. We're partnering with clinicians, we're partnering with influencers, workplaces, and member organizations, and we're telling stories. And we're doing this to reach the billions of at-risk men all over the world and make death from prostate cancer a thing of the past. My name's Elliot. I have a background in designing medical imaging equipment and radiation therapy equipment. My co-founder, Tom, is over in the UK. We're setting up operations to expand internationally. And our team, our fast-growing team, is also led by some excellent urologists who are masters in the world of prostate cancer. So we're raising 10 million Australian dollars to take this to the next level, to reach 1 million men and save the lives of those men that we test, to bring this to the world, because prostate cancer is not an Australian problem, it's a global one. And to start to use the data that we're gathering on all of these men that come through our platform to help pair men with the right treatments to maximize their chance of survival, minimize their risks, and ultimately make prostate cancer death a thing of the past. Thank you.
Coming over.
120 bucks. Yep. 120 bucks a year. Is that the only revenue stream, or do you get downstream revenues from somewhere? A bloody great pitch, Elliot. I'm an investor. I'm jaded. Sorry, I'm. Anyway. Is that the only? Is that the only revenue stream you get?
Yeah. So 120 bucks is the revenue stream. That's just for access to us. So our margin on that is 85 to 90%. And we're exploring some other things around additional testing opportunities, things like genomics and expansion into other areas, but at the moment, yeah.
So $10 a month, a bottle of Corona a month is what was all it costs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's $10 a month, guys.
How much are you raising?
10 million.
I'm in for $500,000.
Starting at 500, 500,000, 500,000.
Who's up next?
Any other questions, team?
Elliot, competition. Who's the competitors in the international market?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the AI healthcare space. There's a lot, as you've probably all seen, in the, let's say, AI radiology space, so looking at the MRI scans. Where we see ourselves really setting ourselves apart from those is that we're with the patient. A lot of this stuff sits back of house in one clinical specialty. And, you know, let's be honest, a big competitor here, it's not a technology competitor, it's apathy. And there's a lot of people out there that are doing nothing about this when they really should. And one of the big competitors for us is overcoming the understanding or overcoming that apathy that men in this risk group have for, I'd rather not know.
I really love the concept. How does it actually work? Maybe I've missed something along the way. So you don't actually perform the test. So if I want to go and get, conveniently I'm over 40 as a male. So if I want to go and get a test for prostate cancer, what happens next? I go to the urologist and then they refer it to you, or do I take that data and give it to you? Like, what if the urologist says, we don't use you?
Yep. So, and if anyone wants to follow along, you can do this right now. So the way you'd get tested with us is go to maxwellplus.com. You would join. No referral required. You can join anytime you want. We track down all your previous blood test data, any medical imaging data that you might have had. and we pull that into our platform. If you need extra tests, our doctors will send you for them. In Queensland, you can go to QML, you can go to a Sonic to get the blood test done.
So when you say your doctors, you don't mean specifically working for you, you mean just anywhere?
At the GP level, the doctors work for us, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So do you need to engage them, or?
So, well, we've hired the doctors at the GP level, and they work part-time to review patients. And then at the urology level, we have a network of urologists around the country. We have 30 now. I think we cover every state. We mainly have one in the Northern Territory. And they receive patients. They do the more advanced workup, things like biopsies.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, we've got one in the front here as well.
It's a tricky place to hide.
Hey, I was just wondering, what's the most common reason that prostate cancer does get missed, and how does your AI improve on it compared to doctors diagnosing it?
Yeah, that is a fantastic question. So, prostate cancer, the very first point of call tends to be a blood test called the PSA. It's prostate-specific antigen. It's very common, but it's very hard to interpret. The biggest reason that people die from prostate cancer is because by the time they show up for more advanced tests like a biopsy, through referral to a urologist, the prostate cancer is spread beyond their prostate. That test is very hard to interpret. There's a lot of reasons it can go up and down. Riding a bike can spike it up. Having sex can spike it up, lots of things. And the tech we have can look at longer term trends in that data to say, you know what, this is natural variation versus actually this is something we should be concerned about.
Hey, I might sound like an... Oh, is this on? I might sound like an idiot asking this, but would you do any advertising for people to use your service or like get a prostate check and use your service for it?
That is not a bad question at all. We do a lot of advertising. We advertise on Facebook. You seem young, you probably don't see our ads because they're age stratified.
No, not for me, but maybe my dad or something.
And we're also doing a lot of PR and awareness campaigns. So you might have spotted him on the previous slide, on that one. But our friend here, Mark Webber, he's one of our ambassadors. We're kicking off a campaign with him to test his entire hometown of Queanbeyan down in New South Wales. All the men in that city are going to be tested with Maxwell Plus to really show the power of what we're doing and what effect that has when done on a grand scale. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this has got legs. Sweet.
Question from the online audience, Elliot. So Maxwell Plus has been around for a little while. Talk us through what's the biggest barrier from somebody who doesn't necessarily see themselves at risk saying yes to trying out your app? Like, do you have any hesitancy with people not wanting to think about death or wanting to I guess, being a little bit unsure about whether or not they are the candidate that they're looking for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So historically, and it continues to be so, is education. And I mean, this title is conveniently here. It's about changing the conversation. The PSA test has had a bad rap. Prostate cancer testing has had a bad rap. A lot of people think about rubber gloves when they think about prostate cancer testing. They don't want to know. The PSA test, as I said, it can go up and down for many reasons. And we need to change that. And that's the biggest thing that's keeps people on the fence, is not really understanding that today, with the data that we have and the analysis we can do on it, we can do much, much better than we ever could before.
Awesome. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
So that is the last of our pitches, and I just want to say, if you guys weren't all impacted by that, and all of the founders before that, at least go and tell your friends about Maxwell Plus, because what an impact that makes to so many people already, not only here in this room, but online. So thank you for everything you're doing in your team, but not only that, thank you to all the founders and the contribution you're making to the world through technology, and especially here in Queensland. So thank you so much for all of your pitches tonight. You have done an amazing job. Can I have another round of applause? I would first like to thank the amazing Peter Laurie. He has been at every RiverPitch. That's the gift. Peter has absolutely been a stellar contribution, not only to RiverPitch tonight, but for the last couple of years, supporting River City Labs still through our pre-accelerators. So amazing job, and thank you so much for everything. Jason from Cake had to leave early, so a big thank you and a gift for him will be sent through someone in the team, I believe, who's here. But also a great thank you to our amazing sponsors. Didn't Mark do a great job being the runner? But BDO do so much more for this ecosystem, and amazing job, especially during COVID, with your actual schools and what you've been doing for founders, so thank you so much. I can see Mark standing in the background there from AWS. Thank you so much for sponsoring tonight, and thank you always for your contribution. And to the amazing ShareSource, who is somewhere here in the room, thank you again. This night and this evening couldn't be actually done without our sponsors, and also the amazing community that joins in, and the spectacular founders. And the last thank you to the amazing River City Labs and Startup Catalyst team. Without your energy and effort all year round supporting founders, things like this wouldn't just happen. So thank you so much. Thank you to our online audience and to everyone sitting down. I bet you can't wait to get up. So off you go, go network, enjoy the evening.